Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Gotham City Chronicles, episode 27. And we're going to be talking about Batgirl Year One by Chuck Dixon, Scott Beatty, Marcos Martin, and the inker is escaping me. I'm sorry, inker. But I'm sure JP will chime in right here, right now with the inker.
Alvaro Lopez?
That's right. I know it was Alvaro, but I couldn't remember the last name at all.
It was only because I looked at the cover.
Yeah.
And I remembered that.
You know, and I had to confirm whether he was the inker or the colorist, but no, the colorist is somebody else. He's the inker. Marcos Martin was the penciler.
Yeah, Marcos Martin's the artist.
Right, he's the artist. And I think Marcos Martin did all the cover work as well, and Alvaro did the inking on the cover. So you have
Rodriguez was the
consistent team on this book. But let's I didn't do a proper introduction here for my co-host. Welcome, JP, co-host of this show. What's going on? I think at our current pace we'll be at episode 30 by February of 2022.
we have slowed down here the last couple episodes.
It's been a little hectic.
Both of us have been a little busy work-wise. And
it's been a little crazy, but this was fun. This is my first time reading it, but JP is a veteran at this story and a lot of Batgirl stories, I would imagine. But this was not our suggestion. This was a suggestion of our guest. And of course, we're talking about the one and only Jimi, the Geek Aficionado. What's up, bro?
Howdy. Yeah, this is absolutely one of my all-time favorite Bat stories, and specifically Batgirl stories. It's an origin story that kind of goes through her, her metamorphosis into becoming Batgirl, which is wildly left kind of unsaid at the time that she debuted. Yeah,
right.
It really colors it in and flavors it.
So this is the first proper time that her origin was told, right? Or is that inaccurate?
I can honestly say that I have not read all of the late 60s, early 70s.
I haven't either.
Stuff. Yeah, so I couldn't tell you when a specific origin really kind of came through beyond her first appearance.
Right.
But I would hazard a guess to say this is her first detailed origin.
Right.
And the timing of it, it's 2003, so it's obviously pre-New 52.
Yeah.
And it kind of fits into that. It's after she became Oracles, because there's some Oracle jabs in there, I
saw about the Cassandra Oracle references here.
Yeah.
And I also noticed that there was some sort of correlation between this and Robin Year One, which I guess Robin Year One came out before this. I had never actually read Robin Year One. I don't know if my enjoyment of this story is affected by me having never read Robin Year One or not. Have you guys read that?
Robin Year One is also really good.
Is
I don't think it's as good, but it's also really good. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have to look for that on the app.
It's not quite as good as this one, but it's good. I enjoyed it. So
yeah, it's on. I believe it's the same team too, right? JP.
I know
it's the same art.
That makes sense.
So it's definitely Marcos Martin.
I love Marcos Martin. His work.
Absolutely.
He's great. Yeah.
I reread this today, and I was looking for original art today from the story, and I'm like, there's nothing out there.
Nothing.
Like,
no. So it was it was Dixon and Beatty, and then this is Javier Pulido.
So Dixon and Beatty are like a writing.
Okay.
Dixon and Beatty do a lot of co-writing, right? Like they're a writing team.
They did. Well, they definitely are in this. I know Dixon did a lot of the Exiles work.
Yeah.
For Marvel.
He did a big chunk of the early Nightwing stuff too. So that.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Right on. So, yeah, because there was a guy named Grayson that did that picked up after a while on Nightwing.
Right.
So the art was split on this one. The penciler was split between Javier Pulido and
Robin.
On Robin Year One. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to dive into Batgirl Year One in a second. We got Simply Incredible podcast in the chat. What's going on? And that's it. So welcome all one of you, or anybody who's watching who's not chatting, whatever. But we're just going to dive right into it. So I do have access to the comics if we need to pull up anything from any specific issues. I don't know how quick I'm going to be on the trigger on that, but you guys have physical trades, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with you, JP, because you're the Batgirl super fan, I guess, among us three. Not that me and Jimmy are not Batgirl fans, but I think we would call you the numero uno Batgirl fan, or Barbara Gordon Batgirl fan.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. That's probably a fair assessment of
Kenny,
of most groups that I would be the numero uno.
We got George here.
I think you're definitely more of the Dick Grayson fan, but I think I would rank higher as the Barbara Gordon fan.
She's like my second favorite character of all time, behind Dick. So
mine too, right behind Phoenix.
There you go. So,
well,
so either
both
way,
higher than where I don't even rank it, but
yeah.
I'm not saying I don't rank Barbara Gordon. I don't rank my character list too far beyond like Batman and Spider-Man. Those are just so obvious, you know. But
well, yeah, those would be like, for me, it would be like those two, then Spider-Man, then Batman.
So I guess, I mean, as we usually kind of start with just overall, you know, quick impressions, right, without getting too deep into the story, art, and all that. What is this story for you, JP?
So I read this. I was telling you before. I read this the first time around 2010, 2012, somewhere in there. When I was doing a lot of digital stuff because I didn't have access to comics. And I read it. Really, I did read it as a follow up to Robin Year One. Like I found Robin Year One, and I read this. And I love this story, like from the beginning. I thought it was a really cool introduction for her. Like Jimmy said, they really had never filled in a lot of the gaps, at least that I had read, of like how she goes from Commissioner's daughter to Batgirl, you know, and that process, how she chose Batgirl, which I think is kind of funny because it's just kind of not necessarily on purpose.
Very tongue-in-cheek, yeah.
Yeah, and I just really, really enjoyed this story. For me, I already really enjoyed the character, but I'll be honest, when I was reading comics, for the most part, because they'd stopped using her, and then before the Killing Joke, so for the most part, she was always just Oracle. Right. So in a lot of ways, I hadn't read much Batgirl stuff at that point for the character. So I'd read a little bit, but for the most part, this was kind of like the big introduction of who she was before Oracle for me.
Nice. Jimmy?
So I grew up on Yvonne Craig in Batman 66, right? So like it was always very prevalent for me. Like that was Batgirl, and that kind of helped me gravitate towards that character, you know. But to JP's point, I mean, Oracle, like, you know, like in I'd say my formative comic reading years for Batman, it was always Oracle, right? It was always post Killing Joke. Because I remember when that was on the shelf. I remember seeing that at the LCS and like what that actually did to comics at the time. But yeah, it's much more explorative into like her past and, you know, her origin story, and that is definitely something that was kind of left out, you know, during that time. And to be honest, I mean, in the 70s, it wasn't really, you know, a requirement to kind of go into that, you know, level of detail or such, and they had a lot of kind of offshoots and stuff like that of like different characters with the different Earths before Crisis happened, and so it didn't really, you know, need to play into it so much until it did. But yeah, it's to me, this has always been.
But you recommended it, so obviously you have positive.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You know, there's a lot to it because it's not even just the beats on Batgirl in the story. It's the development of characters like Killer Moth and more specifically Firefly, who becomes kind of her arch nemesis, and it's like Killer Moth wants to be, but Firefly really is, right? But
I mean, I haven't even gotten to my first impressions yet, but I have to say that Killer Moth is probably like the most kind of throwaway-ish character to me in this.
But Firefly really developed.
Firefly made it a little bit more. The stakes felt way more real once Firefly entered the picture. I think around issue 4 or 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it just felt it just felt a lot tighter from there. I mean, my first impressions are, so I had never read it ever until about 3 weeks ago. And then we pushed the show from 3 weeks ago to now. And so I did a quick, like, just without reading all the words, kind of flipping through the art kind of thing, quick refresher today. And I think, for me, the artwork really shines. Because it's a very unique style. Marcos Martin, he's kind of an artist where you could I can instantly recognize that it's him when I see his artwork. What's up, poor Mike in the house? So I really, really quite enjoyed the artwork, I especially enjoyed the coloring too.
Yeah.
And some of the choices in that end.
Even from this, sorry to step on.
Oh yeah, no, I love that trade paperback cover, which isn't really. That's not one of the covers of any of the single issues, though.
No, it's. I don't think so. I think it might.
No, it's not. I have all the covers right here in front of me on my screen.
Yeah,
and it's not one of them.
So the colors on this remind me a lot of the color usage that they do with Spider-Gwen, right? Like the really, like kind of really bright overtoning colors, in the background. So yeah, it's very good because it really kind of it makes it. I think it can slightly overshadow Marcos Martin's work, but I think it also provides a good backdrop to it.
No, I mean, when they're like in the cave, you get pinks and purples. In the background, it's something he does kind of throughout is very, yellows. We get a lot of yellows and stuff in the background, and
and let's not leave this guy's name out of the picture. Javier Rodriguez. Yeah. So
absolutely,
great job. Great work by him. I think it's rare for me to like start with the colorist with my thoughts on things, but that's I'm hearing my voice echo again a little bit, but maybe I'll turn my speakers down a little bit. Hold on. I don't know. That was, to me, that was the standout. I liked the story. I felt like the first 3 to 4 issues just really relied heavily upon, I'm actually seeing these like really early Genesis phase things of how Barbara Gordon takes her kind of discouragement of, lack of support from her father to be a police officer, lack of the physical requirements needed to be a field officer for the FBI, trapped in a job as a librarian that she's kind of bored as hell about, I enjoyed a lot of that kind of part of it, but I didn't quite as much like the, you're all of a sudden placed into scenes of where she's Batgirl already, and then they kind of backtrack to some of the stuff, and I was like Killer Moth, I was I felt a little bit disjointed during that portion.
I guess not from like because we're reading it from a trade perspective, right? I can only guess that that was done to kind of give a little bit more excitement and emphasis to the individual issues, right? Like there was something else going on that kind of kept the story moving along. Like, so this is going on, let's step back and then let's come back to it. And then we want to find out more about what's actually happening.
And at first I didn't catch that. And I was like confused because I was like, wait, is this sequential storytelling or is this flashback?
They were jumping to that first activity as Batgirl and then back to her getting to that decision.
Right, exactly. So once I kind of caught on to that, I was like, then the rest of it was a much smoother experience from a just a pure reading standpoint, like aside from appreciating the artwork and the coloring and all that, just from a pure story standpoint. That was the first hurdle I had to climb before realizing what this whole thing was and how it was going to be set up and how it was going to play out. But so beyond that, I think it was a pretty charming 9-issue. What's it, maxi series? I don't know what to call it. Mini series, maxi series. It was a pretty charming read. I think Barbara Gordon comes off as a pretty strong female character in this origin story, but also one with some insecurities and doubts about herself and everything. I thought the interplay between her and Dick Grayson was really cute, in like a high school romance kind of way, but they're not in high school. So I enjoyed that. What else can I say? I thought Batman was in it just enough to be in it, and I'm fine with it. I think maybe other people would be like, could say, it would have been cool to have more Batman. I think that would have taken away from it being Barbara's story a little.
Right.
But he was in there for like some important beats, and also, of course, towards the conclusion where she kind of like officially becomes part of the Bat family or whatever.
Right.
And to give that kind of like stamp of approval, I thought that was good. Just generally speaking, I enjoyed it. I don't have a ton of experience reading Batgirl or Barbara Gordon stories, like kind of similar to some of the points you guys made, where like my first, I think the first story I remember reading her in is The Killing Joke, and she's not Batgirl really.
No.
He'd
already given it up at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And and then I've read a bunch of stuff with her as Oracle. And then I've read some more modern stuff, like comics that have came out in the last like 3 to 5 years. That
Right.
When she came back to being Batgirl.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's a big gap there between Batgirl Year One and current day Batgirl that I really have zero experience with, right, besides this story now. So I would like to dive into a few more. I don't know if there's like a short list of the best Batgirl stories, but since Year One came out, or anything like that. But I'll look.
What's interesting is like if you look back at like you take the DC archives, for example, right? And they do a Supergirl, right? It's a 2-volume set on Supergirl, which starts in like Action Comics. There's a lot of the backup stories, things like that. But they don't have, they've got a dynamic duo. They've got a Dark Knight. They've got a Batman one. They don't have a Batgirl, collection that I'm aware of. I haven't really seen, they would go back and collect all of the Batgirl stories through Detective Comics,
right?
And kind of pull through, because when was Killing Joke? 88?
Yeah.
Late 80s, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then she had
Girl. Good to see Pat.
And then this is 03, right, when this comes out. So we're talking a good 15 years between the last time we see Barbara Gordon as anything, get shot, and then this Batgirl, origin story, when people have already forgotten her as Batgirl, when Cassandra Cain has already been out there.
Well, I mean, you think about it, that the Volume 1 of Batgirl as a title is Cassandra Cain.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was never a Barbara Gordon Batgirl volume.
Yeah. Which I think was one of the important things that they really rectified with New 52 is was correcting her spine, bringing her back as Batgirl, and having her, in that role.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing
what in Bat Family. I mean, there was a lot of Bat Family stuff.
Yeah, there's Batman Family, there's Detective Comics, but that's really it.
Yeah, for the vintage stuff, that's pretty much it. Yeah. I mean, I've heard something about Batgirl Silent Night in the early 2000s, but I never checked that out, and I don't know what that is. I've also heard about, there was a late 80s Batgirl story called Batgirl Special #1.
There is a Batgirl Special,
and then beyond that, I'm not really sure.
I mean, a lot of the other stuff that's really good, most of her stuff that's really good that people generally recommend would be some of the Birds of Prey stuff when she's Oracle. And then some of the New 52 stuff, like when there's a couple of those things that are pretty good. But yeah, there's not a ton of really dedicated stories that focus on her anyway as Batgirl before more recent stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So the Batgirl Silent Night actually was Cassandra Cain.
Yeah, I was going to say
that's a reprint, I think, of her individual issues. But I would I really enjoyed the Batgirl stories that they told in New 52. Like, out of everything in New 52, that was my favorite part of it, was that they brought Batgirl as Barbara Gordon, and specifically at the beginning with the Adam Hughes stuff. Like, they delve into, they kind of picked up from where things ended. At the end of the original DCU with James Gordon Jr. being a psychopath, and her having to kind of like confront that, with her dad kind of still kind of in a disbelief. It was when they got to the Batgirl of Burnside and they turned her into a millennial that I was just like, yuck, like that. That's where like things really fell off for me, like, and I kind of lost interest in the character.
Yeah, the first half of that volume
Attachment to the character. It bothered me, and like the Rebirth stuff, I still need to pick up and read the Rebirth stuff, especially that with the Birds of Prey. I have it all, I just haven't read it. But yeah, it kind of was distasteful to me, like they just turned her into, it was more, honestly, it was more like this, right, where she's, like it has like the strong computer skills and everything like that, which keeps true to the Oracle Foundation. Which she didn't obviously pick up until she became, paralyzed in the wheelchair. But yeah, it's just, it kind of rotated her back into being a college student, which they had the ability to do with New 52 and just resetting the whole timeline. They could say, people are wherever they are.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think it's about time we start diving a little bit into the art conversation. And then we'll get back to some story criticism before we do the wrap up and the ranking. Pat Wall is chiming in here with a question, though. Do you think there are more Batwoman, Batgirl, or Robin fans when it comes to solo stories? I got to say probably Robin, but
I would guess Robin. I mean, Robin's been around longer. There's more stories. There's 30.
Well, I wouldn't say Robin. I would say Nightwing.
Well, yeah, because then he also has other versions of the character that are popular and all that. Simple Simon, what's going on, Simon?
Hey, Simon.
How's it going? Okay, so I'm going to share a screen here real quick. What we're looking at here is just the covers, which we can talk about real quickly. We can even do our rankings earlier on in the show if we want. I like these covers. I don't know if I can. Is that large on the screen? Can I zoom in a little bit?
Yeah, it's big enough.
Okay.
Cool. I mean, I can see it good, but yeah,
that's a little better, right?
There you go.
So I don't know. I like these covers, but these are all done by Marcos Martin as the primary artist.
Right.
And I think especially the cover for number 3 is good, but that's not necessarily a Batgirl centric cover. My personal favorite is issue 5, this one right here with one. That just has a certain level of like epicness to it, I think.
Yeah.
It's very Frank Miller style.
Yeah. I don't know if I can get it bigger by clicking into it.
I would definitely vote for 6 as my favorite cover. I like the shot with her, and it's like, it's very Frank Miller style.
I like 6 too, man. I think that's my runner-up cover. You got it's a motorcycle cover, right?
Because what you don't really see, what's kind of hidden in that you don't realize, is when you look at the motorcycle at the top, and who's riding it,
Right.
Yeah. Black Canary.
Yeah.
Very cool cover. I don't know. Let me go back to the main screen here. I mean, we can talk about the interior art as well. I think that the number 9 cover is pretty strong.
Number 9 is definitely.
That's the one they used for the deluxe edition.
Oh, okay, cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to get it off of this. We can do our actual ranking later, but I don't know. I think I'm pretty. I think we've already sort of done that. I think it's hard for me to change my mind on number 5. For some reason I love that one. Just the silhouette around it, and like you said, a little bit of
it highlights the yellow, right? And the yellow accents.
Yeah, I would say for me, it's 5 or 3 or
3. Yeah, 3's good.
3.
I really like 3 because it's kind of the outsider. It's really good to the story and where she's at that point.
Yeah,
where she's trying to be a part of it, but she's not yet. And like,
I mean, is that the one where it like ends with her jumping off basically jumping off the ledge or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah.
It ends with her basically they save her from jumping off the ledge and then they basically knock her out. So 4 starts with the cape. So
actually no, so they don't. She jumps. That's the last panel. She jumps and it's like this tiny piece of her and them going.
Right.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, she's barely visible on that last splash page.
Yeah,
and you just see Batman and Robin
right up here.
Yeah.
And then,
she's barely. She's like a little speck. Yeah.
And then you got Batman and Robin. Like that fall's gonna kill her.
But let's get into the interior artwork a little bit. There, that's a good segue.
One last comment on the covers, though. I think the covers. One of the best things about the covers is that they're very intuitive about the story itself within. You know, it's not something you see a lot of, and there's a lot of feints usually on covers, you know, just to kind of get you to buy the book. But these are really like seem like well thought out about what is actually going to happen in the book at some point. You know, like even with issue 4, right? Like where would we see the giant penny? Right? It'd be in the Batcave.
Yeah,
you know, so it really kind of makes that statement.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
She's going to be in the Batcave in here.
I think that might be my favorite issue, like combination of art and story wise. On the interior, I really like that issue.
And I do really enjoy the stories, you know, with her and Dick Grayson in them, you know, where it's like there's that bond building, right? That thing that we knew was going on behind the scenes as we read the stuff, you know, the regular canon material, right? Which more materialized in Birds of Prey 8.
Right. Interior artwork. Any thoughts, guys? I mean, I pretty much enjoyed it throughout. I can't really pinpoint any particular character design that didn't make sense to me or anything. I mean, you know, Killer Moth. It's just kind of a ridiculous character, but it looked fine to me. Like I didn't have any issues with the look necessarily. I thought Condiment Man was really funny. You know, the look especially of the character.
Funny story. So I reread it today.
Yeah.
And like, you know, again, I was like, you know, like fell in love with the story again, right? And the artwork and everything that was involved in it. And I go looking for original art from the book, which I can't find anything, right? But I did stumble across. There was I forget the name of the book, but it was Alvaro Lopez doing the main art and Marcos Martin doing the inks, and it was Condiment King. Like he's like choking out Dick Grayson and I think Huntress. It was a Birds of Prey issue, is what it was. It's like Birds of Prey 37, and like you know like he hit him with like some hot sauce that like you know was like 100 on the Schofield level, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like, and he's like, "Are you that kid that they clapped at me the first time?" It was like great because it throws back to this book, right? You know, and it's a later story from Birds of Prey. So it was perfect that like it really plays back to this specific story,
right?
You know, as Robin, you know, doing that, but it's not the same Robin at this point, right? It's Tim Drake, I believe.
If you are curious, though, Jimmy, if you go to Comic Guard Fans and do a search,
that's where I was.
Yeah, do a search for Batgirl Year One. I mean, I don't see any for sale that are
none for sale, but there's a lot of pieces.
Yeah, but there are pieces here in other collectors' galleries and stuff that are cool to look at. Here we have a
the nice
prominent Killer Moth and
Firefly scene.
What else is on
page here?
Batgirl. Oh, that one's cool.
Top of the GCPD starting it on fire.
Yeah. So anyway, if anyone's curious about that, it's available. But I really quite like the interior artwork for the book. So.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And so one thing that I noticed, and I'll pull up a panel that kind of just shows it, is that he's really good at making sure that the characters are definable between the pages, right? Like, you know, you don't, get lost. Like the features aren't different, you know, it's always the same. And here we go. So you see the Batgirl or the Barbara Gordon, faces, right? And the hairdo and everything. And then you go over here, you know, the next page and everything. And it's still like, it's the same face shape, same hairdo, same style. It keeps playing across. And the same with Jim Gordon, like, you know, there's really little with the eyes. It's always reflection on the glasses. And then you can just pick any panel, you know, in a later issue and see, you know, a similar look across, right? You know, with how she looked or anything.
Yeah, so I think the work with like the nose and the nostrils and just all the different face details are pretty well done and consistent throughout, totally, and instantly recognizable in any panel.
I'm just trying to find another
Okay.
Gordon one.
You guys have the actual book to flip through. I don't, so I'm kind of relying on you guys.
Oh, did you do digital?
Yeah, I have it. I just have it on the screen. I mean, we could look at it on the screen too if we want to, a little bit. Like I could go through some interior pages.
Gordon throughout the book is just like the reflective glasses.
Yeah, but even in the sections where he doesn't have the glasses, like he's squinty, right? So he didn't have to really worry about the eyes at all. It just kind of played it out very well.
So there was, I think it's honestly might be this issue with the motorcycle and the Black Canary, where I think that's my favorite art issue or interior art issue.
Mm-hmm.
Like you start with this crazy, shattered glass splash page.
Yeah.
And you get another splash page, and you get Canary.
Bird of prey. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just instant art goodness that sucked me right into that issue. And then all the motorcycle action and stuff.
The motorcycle action. Like, there's a lot of motorcycle stuff throughout the whole series.
There is.
And it's all really well done. Like,
and that panel where they have this uncomfortable silence or whatever, that's really well done.
Oh yeah, and he throws him the kiss.
Yeah. And then you got the rooftop stuff with Batman. Yeah, I mean, this is just all. I mean, the coloring really shines as well, to the original point I made. But I don't know. This was a standout issue to me. Of course, you got Green Arrow in there as well, a little cameo. And this is also the issue where they basically, what's it called? They tell another story, and then in the next issue they go back in time, right, on that story.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean that was probably my favorite. But the art is pretty much consistently good. I don't know. Did you guys have any favorite issues besides that one, art wise, which I could pull up?
I don't know that I had a favorite issue. It was more like just really enjoyed certain panels from different ones. I would say we talked about issue, the one in the Batcave. I really loved the way he did. Like I said, he used a lot of purples and blues and pinks in the background and in the cave, and I just thought it worked really well for me, even though it was not detailed backgrounds at all.
Right.
I enjoyed that, and then all the motorcycle stuff.
Yeah, that's a great look at that splash. That's from that issue.
Yeah.
Those big rooftop ones in between the buildings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that whole sequence where they're trying to where she's fallen and Dick's trying to save her, and then Batman has to save them both because she crashes them into a building, is really well done. It's just, I thought the whole series is very consistent, like Jimmy talked about.
Yeah.
And I thought the motorcycle stuff, particularly both in the Black Canary issue and then when her and Robin are on their quest in the subway, I thought that was all really well done.
Totally.
Yeah.
That one was very or that little stretch was like a very cinematic stretch here.
Yeah.
Like that where they're racing through the subway station.
Right. For me, I'd have to say I think my favorite issue is issue 5. Because that's where we really get is the character development on the villains, right? Where you have Killer Moth at his low point, and then you have Garfield Lynns becoming the Firefly.
Yeah.
Which again, I mean, a perfect cover to really kind of discuss that topic, right? You get the fire in the background. It's telling you about Firefly.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about this page 1 splash where everything's
he's dreaming that's what he's accomplishing.
Yeah. But if you I mean, it's everything is in the facial details, on Lynn's, as he's going through it. So, he does this. He's a special effects, coordinator. But if you go back a couple of pages.
This one?
One more.
Are you trying? Oh, I thought, yeah.
One more. Top panel.
Yeah.
Right. The look he has, it's very relaxed and cold. His eyes are a little bit off, and then he's just,
What's up, Jeff?
telling his assistant it's fine, don't worry about it, because he has a purpose behind it, right? He wants to do this. And then when you move forward two pages, she blows up, and that last that last set at the bottom, right, where you see that little smile crack, that's where the sociopath comes through.
Well, and then what is it? Just a couple pages. The next page, a few pages later, when he asks about what they're going to do with the footage.
Yeah,
look on it, when he's like, they're like, you. I mean, he just completely
ghoul. Yeah. It builds to that character, right? So you really see why. Everything that it plays out through the rest of the story when it relates to him, him going overboard every time is, it's because he's a sociopath and he wants to see people hurt. And
mostly he wants to see women, it seems like.
Let's get into that a little bit, because he's almost more like a terrorist in a way.
Yeah.
Not so much a terrorist, as terrorists are ideological.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. But
he wants
I mean, he's a much more violent villain than any other one that I've read in a Batgirl lead, which is literally nothing besides this. This is the scariest villain by far besides Joker from Killing Joke.
Right. Well, yeah, you got this. You've got Joker from Killing Joke. Like I said, you go back to the first dozen issues of Batgirl New 52, where she's confronting James Gordon Jr. I got to be honest with you. I think in some ways Batgirl deals with some of the heavier, more psychotic villains, across the storyline, and that does play out though in issue 4. When she's in the Batcave, where it's like this is what you have to look forward to. It's like, this is what you can do now, and this is what you have to look forward to. Or no, I think it's actually later on.
That's issue 9. That's issue 9. There was a tease of it. There was a tease of it in issue 4, where there's one page where you see Red Hood and Joker and a couple other villains, images on the Bat computer or whatever it is. But in issue 9, I think it's the simulated ones.
When he puts her back, he puts her back into the gallery. And then he drops all of them in front of him, and then you see that Joker face from Killing Joke. Which is perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No, it's really well done, and I do like the fact, because they use Killer Moth he's kind of a joke, even during this, but he was the original villain, in the original in 359. The villain that she confronts and deals with, and I enjoy how they use him, because he's mostly because he's pretty much incompetent, but he's obsessed with getting revenge, and he teams up with this complete psycho. The only threat is from Firefly. Killer Moth is no threat.
Right. Well, there's 4, I guess, rogues. If you can really call them that or not, I don't know. That's debatable. But you have Killer Moth. You got Firefly, who's kind of I would say the main,
of this,
the threat. And then you have a cameo fight with Condiment King.
Well,
and then you have a Blockbuster on the subway car.
Right.
Blockbuster.
Yeah, then Blockbuster. And I can't remember if there was anyone else.
There was one more.
What was the other?
And this is really important. So go full screen on me.
Okay.
If you look at this on page 101, you see Polka Dot Man, and you see him just get clubbed by the bartender. It's perfect. He's yelling at the guy, and he just reaches underneath and grabs the bat, just clocks him.
I totally missed that. Yeah, I totally missed that.
It is so funny, because it's oh wait, Polka Dot Man's there.
Nice. What's up, aggressively relaxing? How you doing, bro? All right. So, any criticisms, any flaws that you could call out from your guys' perspectives from the story? I think we're beyond the art conversation. So, from a story standpoint, anything you think was a negative or could have been done better? There was one thing. It's a really nitpick. Okay. But from a story logic standpoint, I was I wish they didn't put that in there, because it just bothers me a little bit in my head. where she's like showcasing all the money that she's not literally saying I spent this much money, but she's like, you know, I'm on a librarian's salary, I'm broke, Batman must be rich because to get all this stuff, you know, and then they're giving her bikes and all this other shit, you know. Yeah, exactly, right. But there's this, and they all that has happened, and then they do like a little bit of a flashback scene where she's like unboxing her outfit and like, you know.
Well, she made her outfit, but yeah, she
made her
doesn't get the grappling stuff that almost kills her.
Right,
yeah.
But then there's like a bulletproof vest or flak jacket, and she says something like, "Thank God for the policeman,
GCPD discount."
The GCPD discount, and that one reference bothered me enough for the rest of the whole story. And the way the back of my head, like, how did Jim Gordon not get notified about somebody using his discount to buy? You would think those aren't just things that you just sell to anybody, you know, like there's got to be a record, like a police record of it. Yeah. And then, you know, it took him so long, like the whole connection of him figuring out that it might be Barbara was like the red hair or whatever. And I was like, okay, but she also used your police discount for
buying her not going that far at that point, right?
Because I know, but I don't know. That was just the one flaw that it was nagging at me like the whole time.
I don't even remember registering.
I'm sure other people read the whole thing and don't even notice that, but I was like, it's just.
I noticed it. I also was trying to figure out what she was ripping out of the vest in the first place because she was like grabbing handfuls.
And then they just, you know, they diffuse the situation by having Dick Grayson dress up as Batgirl. I was like, okay, you know. I was like, where have I seen that before? You know, like
Daredevil, Spider-Man.
Like, yeah. It was clear Jim suspected her from the first night or whatever, and then he kind of like let it go, and then he came rushing back later or whatever to like.
Well, not from the first one because he was unconscious for the whole thing, so all he sees is a paper with red hair.
Yeah,
right.
You know,
he looks out like he goes to her trellis, like when she's in the
room. He goes to just making sure it's still secure. He's suspicious from the jump. He's like, hey, here's a picture of a girl in red hair kicking ass, right? Like I'm going to late night taekwondo classes.
Red.
I also do think like just a side thing. Like we talked about Killer Moth being something of a joke, but I think it was actually appropriate that that's the first villain on that actually was someone that she could like actually sort of
take
deal
down.
With, given how like untrained. I mean, she had skills, but she wasn't really well trained or anything at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, I think that was an appropriate level.
And lack the equipment.
Level 1.
There's no way she could have used the Force like Ray did. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's a whole other argument, but
I got to be honest with you, Kabi. That kind of makes it kind of adds to the point. If one panel of 9 issues is what bothered you,
there wasn't much. I mean, like I had to like.
That's a pretty strong story,
because,
right?
And I only really thought of that when I did my second flip through and was kind of looking, and I didn't do a full read on my second flip through. I was kind of just digesting the story from an art perspective only, since I already had read the words. But then I reread the words on like those couple pages, and I was like, oh yeah, like, you know, like that was a big
she's covering her tracks enough that she ditched her computer and bought a new one, you know.
Right.
But you're using a family discount.
Yeah, I mean, overall though, I didn't find much I could you know, call to as like a negative. You know, I didn't necessarily think it was you know, on the same level as some of the greatest Batman stories ever told from like a story perspective.
Right.
It's not a Batman story. Like that's the thing. Like this is not something that we normally or typically cover. You know, occasionally we've gone outside the core stories and done like a Harley Quinn story, and now we're doing a Batgirl specific story, and it's a little bit harder to talk about those stories in context with the sort of the big boy Batman stories that we all know and that we all constantly talk about, and on this show that we constantly rank against each other.
Right.
You know,
I mean, if you're thinking about like the Year One stories, like Batman Year One is a much
the tops.
better.
Yeah.
But
David Mazzucchelli, Frank Miller. It's hard to beat that.
Yeah.
But this is still a really good origin story. Like, I feel like they set up so much. Like Jimmy talked about the callbacks to Condiment King and Robin kicking him in the face, and you're the same kid that they used. Like, there's so much stuff that happened or that was going on around the time that they put in here. The relationship with Black Canary, the start of
Mm-hmm.
in the Dick Grayson Batgirl thing was, if you go back to like the 60s and 70s, like there was a bigger age gap than what they've done now. They've basically made them the same age.
Actually, it almost seems like Barbara's older than Dick.
She was back then.
Yeah.
She was significantly older back then, and he had like the schoolboy crush on the 20-something or whatever,
right?
Like 17, 18.
This is young professional Barbara Gordon and college Dick Grayson. That's basically what this feels like to me.
Yeah.
And, but their dialogue with each other is almost high school level, like in some scenes.
Well, part of it was like, if you go back, Barbara graduated early. Like she was like
she was brilliant
level or whatever. She was like young and out of school already.
Yeah, she'd be like 19, 20 graduating college.
Yeah.
Yes, like she graduated college at like 19 or 20, and like so. But yeah, I just think they just do a really good job of setting up a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the relationships.
Although she was eating pizza with the former detective who was opening up the private eye office or whatever at the end in the last issue.
Right. Well, she always resisted for a long time. And he was a kid, and
and he's an older guy. Yeah, I mean, he's on the force, but he's still young on the beat.
Yeah.
But to your point about the year one stuff, did you guys recognize the Mazzucchelli piece in there?
No, but I'm very curious now. Full screen you there. Oh yeah, that's a direct swipe.
It's straight. Everything they did with Batman is straight year one Batman.
Yeah, totally good catch.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. I mean, again, that's one of the things that I love about the story and about the way that they worked it is that like even Batman looks like he hasn't been at it that long.
And this only came out 18 years ago, but in the last 18 years. Things have changed so much, especially in DC, honestly, with, reboots, relaunches, the differences in the way that they do the publishing, where like, obviously a lot of art has gravitated towards digital. A lot of the cover artists, even on the A covers, and of course now they do B covers for freaking every issue. Those are always different people than the actual creative team on the inside as far as artists. Right. And it never feels cohesive. But you go back 18 years and you look at this, and it's Marcos Martin on the covers, the inker, the colorist, same guys doing all the covers, same guys doing all the interiors, same writing team.
Because they were on the book, it was their job.
Exactly. And I think that there's a sweet spot here in like the 2000 to 2010 range, where there are a lot of books like that, where it's just a core group. And they're doing everything, and it's all them, and they're laying it all out on the page, and it's good stuff. And I really need to go back and explore more of the stories from that time period, because that was during my time off from comics completely.
I got to say one thing though is that what I love about this story though is it plays to the more modern Batgirl, as well as it plays to the traditional Batgirl. There's that kind of like carryover, right, where the computers are kind of old,
right,
the equipment is kind of semi-new. There's those nuances there with the bikes and with the Kevlar and things like that, so that and even in like how she puts her boots together, from another pair of boots, the soles of it and everything, is that it kind of transcends, right? So it does fill that gap, so it can be looked at as an origin story for old Batgirl as well as new Batgirl. Yeah. So I think that really kind of helps to bridge that, where a lot of the stuff between New 52 and the original DC universe don't really kind of cover.
Totally. I agree with that. Yeah. Any kind of summary thoughts, JP? I think Jimmy and I just both kind of gave our summary thoughts on this a little bit. I don't know if I can even do the ranking conversation for this book, Because we're at the 10-minute warning mark here at an hour. We usually start talking about rankings right around now, but it's hard to do that with this.
Well, I mean, it's gotten to the point where there's so many different things we've talked about in variety.
It's almost like we have to do a separate ranking list for the non-Bruce Wayne story.
Non-Bruce Wayne story.
Yeah.
We might have to think about that as we go through it. But, like, for me, I just think it's a really, like, in a lot of ways, because of the way they wrapped up her as Batgirl originally, and mind you, this was before they gave any of it back to her, like that they've done in the last 10 years when this came out. So I really thought it was a nice, like, because they kind of just like stopped using her as Batgirl, and then she drifted away, and they stopped using her. Period. And then they brought her back just to have her get shot, and then somebody else was like, "Hey, we can use her now as like the Oracle character." So for me, I just thought it was a really nice origin, a really nice setup of the character for anybody who is never really not familiar with the character. Like, all of it's here.
Yeah.
Like, her computer skills, her brain, like her relationships, like how, like the key relationships for this character between her and Bruce, her and Dick, her and Dinah, like between Black Canary, like her and her dad, they're all here. It's all set up really well.
Right.
It's well told. What her motivations were, why she got into this, like it all makes sense. I just think there's a lot of really good moments and stuff in here. So for me, it ranks pretty high.
Isn't there a real Batgirl movie like in development now with like a lead actress
I don't know if it's
announced?
a movie or a show.
I don't know anymore, but
they got the Leslie Grace.
Right, they announced it a casting, right?
Yeah, they announced the casting. I don't know if it's going to be a movie or an HBO Max show or what it's going to be for sure. I'll be honest, but
I know Joss Whedon had been trying to run a script through.
Well, Barbara Gordon's currently on the Titans show on
she disappeared this
HBO
season
Max.
Yeah,
but she's already in the wheelchair or whatever by this point.
Really?
In Titans, in Titans show. Which is on season 3 of Titans.
Season 3 comes out soon. Yeah.
Raul's saying it's a Black Canary movie, or it's a Canary movie. I don't know. Or maybe that's something different. I don't know.
Also,
I remember hearing that there's supposed to be a Batgirl movie.
Yeah, there was a Batgirl casting. I thought specifically for a Batgirl movie. That was that was what I had in my head, but I really don't know. So. Because with DC, it's hard to really know anymore.
Who knows what they're
until it comes out?
Warner Brothers is it's such a mess.
No cohesiveness whatsoever.
No, there's no Well, they don't have anybody. They don't have a Feige. They don't have anybody like with a vision.
Yeah, then they also want to do things that are not canon to the larger thing versus the movies that are canon to the larger.
If they want to keep the larger thing going, like, well, maybe we should. Maybe they start to cancel stuff, and then it's like,
it's a slot.
You don't need to put the occult stuff into the superhero stuff, right? That could be completely separate, but whatever.
What's up? Bill coming back musings now. We're just wrapping up here. Catch the rewind, unless you don't want to be spoiled on what happens in this book, obviously. Well, I don't really know that there's a ton else to say about this book. At this point, I feel like I've read it 1.5 times, so I think I'll probably give it a pause and let a few years go by before I revisit it. I might do what Jimmy did earlier and go onto CAF and see who has the pages.
Right.
There you go.
Maybe have a few conversations. Maybe not. We'll see. But other than that, I think I'm pretty much good to go on this story. But I did enjoy it, and I think it enhanced my knowledge of Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, quite a bit. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Get a chance, give it a read. Solid story.
Yeah, I think it's solid for me. Like, just thinking about it and looking at what we got, it's probably, it's like you said, it's hard to rank the non-Batman against the Batman versus, because we got such a variety of stuff. But it's probably, we're up to 27 now.
I'm guessing I would rank it somewhere in the middle of the pack. If I had to, if I was
like
forced.
11 to 15, somewhere in there.
If I was forced to, just because it's so hard to rank it above Batman stories I really, really like. But it's not the same thing at all. So
No.
Really
it would probably be in if I actually put it on here, it's probably in the 11 to 15-ish range. ahead of a bunch of the stuff that we've read, but like behind all the big.
Yeah, year one, the Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah. Like it's not, it's not ranking up with Year One, obviously, but it's also not like with like the White Knight stuff or even like Hush or
definitely not.
Yeah, because it doesn't. It's one of the better single character focus pieces that I've read.
Yeah.
It's not it's not a universe shattering or earth shaking, to the whole world of DC necessarily. Besides the fact that she becomes Batgirl because of this story and because of what went down, and she officially becomes part of the Bat family in that version of DC canon before it was rebooted yet again, or whatever.
Again, it definitely plays to her current character as well.
Totally. I think you could easily make that leap and just count it as her origin story.
Yeah,
I think so. I mean, like to me, the book I was thinking about where would be similar comparison that we've read would be like the Harleen thing.
Yeah,
where they tried to go back and do the Harley origin.
Right.
I don't know that I would rank this quite as high as that. I think I enjoyed that a little.
How many Harley origins have there been? Right. Pick a decent one and stick.
Yeah,
with it.
We've covered both Mad Love and Harleen.
Mad Love does not rank nearly this high.
I agree. Yeah, Mad Love. I mean, don't get me wrong. Love Bruce Timm art and everything, but
is it the one where she falls in the vat of chemicals?
No, not in Mad Love. She doesn't. No.
Yeah. See, I don't like that one.
Yeah.
Which one, Harleen or Mad Love?
Harleen, she doesn't fall in the vat of chemicals either. Like,
I don't like the one where she's like the one that they use in the movie. I thought was just
the movie. The Suicide Squad movie, or
well, but I mean,
it New 52 origin.
It does, that was plays off of one of her.
No, we haven't done that Suicide Squad.
We haven't done that yet here. Okay, guys. Anything you guys want to mention? Plug, Jimmy. You go first.
I will be taking a break for a couple of weeks while I go on vacation, but I'm queuing up a bunch of videos. I've gotten some really good stuff lately. I still got to get some time with you to go over the 60.
The what?
The 60, along with Man Cave and Alex the Comic Order.
I forgot what the 60 is already.
Yeah, exactly. It's so hard to get time with everybody.
He's stealing my idea.
Okay.
I pay tribute to you for having such.
Okay, so it's like the end all be all list that you have, or
it's it's more it's the tight focus, right? It's the like what things I want to go, the big specific things I want to go after. But yes, so I've got that. I have knocked out some of the stuff off the hunt list. I've been posting some pictures, but I've got more videos of that coming. Lots more stuff. So those will be rolling out.
Nice. Enjoy vacation, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You going anywhere crazy or?
Yeah, actually, we're going to Greece. We're taking a cruise around the Greek Isles. Yeah,
that's cool. A serious vacation.
Yeah, a lot of precautions in place. Reduced capacity on the ship. Everybody's vaccinated. COVID test before and after. Yeah, it's
so it's a cruise vacation as well.
Yeah. So awesome. There's a lot involved, but yeah,
I've never been on one. I don't think I have the sea legs for said.
Oh, they did. You can't even feel it, right? Really? I mean, it's like a giant building on water. It's
good. JP, you always got a lot of stuff going on. What do you got?
Just my usual weekend stuff that I gotta get done. That I'm not as far along as I normally am by this point for my Saturday video, but we'll get her done. So, and then
Friday project.
Yeah. Weekend stuff, the look back, the cash or trash probably this week, and then my Sunday whatever thing. Next week, we are going to have a indie show. I'll be talking Fables again. We're going to try to crank that out. We're right toward the end of that, so we're going to do volumes 20 and 21 this week, and then maybe finish it up the week after. And I'm still looking for people. Anybody wants to read Lock and Key with me for the indie show? I'm looking for people for that. So we're going to start that pretty soon. So,
and sadly,
I saw I think I saw 2 episodes of the Netflix show, and then I stopped watching it. It's not that I didn't enjoy it, but I didn't have any connection to it, and I was like, you know what? I'll wait to watch the rest of it if I ever read the comic. I don't think I can commit myself to reading it for your show right now.
Right, and that's fine.
I do want to read it at some point.
It's been kind of funny because it like smoked everything because it was one of the ones that the people voted on, and it like smoked everything. Read this, and yet nobody
really
volunteered.
Yeah, nobody wants to read it.
Nobody signed up to read. Like it's the only one I've had trouble like getting people to like read with me. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna have to start asking some people.
Do you think maybe the TV show popularity influenced that vote?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. As far as me, I uploaded a AOK video from JoJo yesterday to my channel,
including this watch.
Including the sick watch that I'm wearing, which actually matches perfectly with this hat.
It does,
Think about it. It's pretty epic.
Sweet.
So thanks again, JoJo, for that. I've got, I think, a couple episodes of original art hour planned for September. We got Hoarder's Hide is gonna be on. I got Issues. Chris is gonna be on. They're gonna be doing their own full hour OA hour episodes, and then we'll have at least one episode of OA hour beyond the show that me and Tony do, the other show, side show. And we're going to have, I think Jeff Wedding was in the chat earlier. He's going to join us for one of those, I think next month. I think maybe Monday the 13th, I think possibly. I don't have a great memory about this, but I think he's going to hop on with me and Tony for one of those. And we're going to showcase a bunch of Star Wars animation art. Which is cool. Yeah, there he is, Jeff. Yep. Yeah, so that'll be fun. I just bought a nice, I guess, chunk of Star Wars animation art that are basically mystery boxes, and I haven't unboxed them yet. So I'm gonna wait for that show. Have Jeff on. I'm gonna do the boxes unboxing, and then he's gonna share whatever because he's got more knowledge about it honestly than I do. But there's droids, there's Ewoks, and there's the original Clone Wars cartoon, which there is not a lot out there as far as animation.
Good luck finding that stuff.
Yeah, and obviously the holiday special. Good luck finding anything from that, right? And then they switched to CGI after that.
Yeah.
So. But still pretty cool little niche subgenre within Star Wars, within art. So that should be a fun episode. I'm also going to be on the Comic Art Live channel again a few more times. I think next week the current Comic Link featured auction ends on Tuesday night. So I'm going to be on the Comic Art Live watch party for that. I was on their last watch party and it was pretty fun. Sort of kind of
go check it out.
Yeah, discussing the results and stuff as they kind of closed and whatnot. So that should be a good time. And then a week after that, on Tuesday, the 7th of September, I'm going to be doing a full hour plus, however long it goes, collector interview where it's just going to be about me and my collection and just kind of a showcase around me and original art in comic books and otherwise. So
Nice.
so that'll be cool. So I kind of have a pretty stacked schedule, at least for me, 'cause my typical output is pretty much next to nothing. So
Significantly less than that,
yeah, significantly less. So busy September ahead, but it should be a fun one. I'm sure JP and I will get around to episode 28 sometime around November. Yeah, sometime October, November. We'll see how it goes. What's up, Nick Brucci? Good to see you, brother.
We'll get one worked in sometime.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Mostly it's figuring out a guest, and then we go from there.
Yeah, we usually just start with a guest, then we figure out the story, then we figure out the scheduling. So it's always a really pretty lengthy process.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on and letting me pick this story because it's one that I really
No, it was a great
enjoyed.
suggestion, man. It was a great suggestion. I
Well,
really, I really enjoyed it.
I was always up for it. So
Yeah. All right, everybody. Catch the outro. Stick around backstage, fellas, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.
Where do I begin? I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Bank deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard this scammer had to switch up the accounts. Moving paper, gotta call it my account. It's all in, I can have it coming out. Been through the struggle, I can see another drought. Yeah, it's not a purse, it's a merch. 6 figures was a goal, now it's 9 or a hearse. Put it work. Used to pull up, not swerve, no time for the snakes, time to put them in the dirt, that's word. I gotta get it, it's in my DNA. You only see the highlights, don't know what it takes. Last year stressing, got no sleep. Now I'm right between the courts, I don't know bleed. I see the hate, they don't wanna see me win. Fake deposits, I got more coming in. Top down, throw the money in the wind. I don't want it all. Heard he scammer, had to switch up the account.